All right, welcome. Now, I want you to forget everything you think you know about money. You know, the spreadsheets, the stock tickers, all of it. Today, we're diving into the hidden story of your finances. And believe me, it's a story written not in numbers, but right here, in your mind. This is a parable about the psychology of wealth.
So let me introduce you to two men, Tunde and Kunle. And just take a look. On the surface, you'd think they were identical twins. They had the same age, went to the same top-tier schools, had the exact same wide-open opportunities. Seriously, they were standing at the very same starting line of life. But let's fast forward to their 40th birthday. Suddenly, their lives are worlds apart. One of them, despite a great income, is just riddled with anxiety about money. The other, he's calm, he's stable, he's even generous. So what went so wrong for one and so right for the other? How could their paths have split so dramatically? And that gets us to the absolute heart of our story. See, we're all conditioned to ask who has more money, but that's completely the wrong question. The real question, the one that changes everything, is who understands money better. Because you see, wealth isn't really about math, it's all about your mindset. You know, it all starts with something we can call a money script. I want you to think of it like a secret internal program that dictates every single financial choice you make. And the craziest part? This script was written for you long before you ever earned your very first dollar. So what is this money script, really? Well, imagine it's the operating system for your financial life. It's this whole collection of beliefs, emotions, and memories about money that got installed in your mind when you were just a kid. And it's just running silently in the background, pretty much controlling every financial decision you make. And right here, this is where the difference is just so stark. Twinde's script, it was filled with messages of scarcity and mistrust. Things like, money is hard to get, or rich people are wicked. It was a script literally built on fear. But Kunle's script was the total opposite. It was built on prudence and thinking long-term. Save for tomorrow. Money is a tool. They lived in the same world, but their internal programming could not have been more different. Okay, so let's tackle a really dangerous myth. We're taught to believe that a high income and a sharp mind are the keys to wealth. But what if I told you they could be a direct path to financial ruin? Let's get into why some of the smartest people go broke.
Tunde is the perfect example here. I mean, the guy was brilliant, a top graduate, with a salary that just kept climbing. But here's the thing. With every pay bump, his lifestyle didn't just grow, it exploded. The new car, the designer clothes, that constant pressure to look the part, he was totally trapped in a cycle of lifestyle inflation. And look, Tunde is not alone. This pattern plays out everywhere, right? You see it with lottery winners who are broke within a few years, star athletes who lose it all, even successful professionals who are just living right on the edge. It's a powerful reminder that a big income is no shield against bad financial habits.
And this brings me to a really crucial point, which is just perfectly captured in this quote. We sort of imagine that wealth is lost in some big, dramatic crash, but that's not really how it happens. It disappears in 1,000 tiny cuts, just leaking away through our daily habits. At the end of the day, your wealth is determined by your behavior, not your paycheck.
All of this leads to one of the most destructive financial traps out there, the comparison game. You know what I'm talking about. That constant need to look over your shoulder, to measure your life against somebody else's. It's about forgetting the golden rule. You have to run your own race at your own pace. Let's check back in with Tunde. One afternoon, he did something that would completely change his financial future. He bought a car. A beautiful, expensive car. A car that he knew deep in his gut was a terrible mistake. The payments were suffocating, the insurance was crippling. It was a disaster in the making. So why would this brilliant man make such a foolish decision? The answer is almost laughably simple. It's because his friend bought one. That's it. That's the whole reason. He was fighting someone else's battle, and it was costing him his own financial peace. Now, contrast that with Kunle. He understood a fundamental truth, one that protected him from Tunde's mistake. And this quote sums it up perfectly. He knew that if you try to match someone else's lifestyle without having their resources, you're not just risking your peace, you are committing financial suicide. So if money isn't for flashy cars and keeping up with the Joneses, then what is it for? What's the actual goal of building wealth? It's not about buying more stuff.
It's about buying something way more valuable: freedom. The entire difference between these two men really just comes down to one simple, life-changing word: enough. See, Kunle had a clear vision of what enough meant for him and his family. Tunde, he never defined it. For him, the goalposts were always shifting, keeping him on this miserable treadmill of just chasing more and more and more. Defining enough isn't about picking some random number. It's a strategic move for your own well-being. And just watch what happens when you do. First, greed loses its power over you. Then, that constant hum of financial anxiety, it starts to disappear. And finally, you start to feel this deep sense of contentment. True wealth isn't about having more, it's about wanting less. And then, the ultimate test. The company downsized and both men lost their jobs on the very same day. Tunde's world just imploded. He was panicked, terrified. But Kunle? He took a breath. He was concerned, of course, but he wasn't broken. Why? Because he had built his financial house on solid rock, not on sand. This right here is what real wealth is all about. It's not the fancy car or the big house. It's quiet control. It's having options. It's the freedom Kunle had to say, I can wait for the right job. The power to say, I can walk away from a toxic environment. And simply the ability to say, I can rest without being totally consumed by fear. So, where did these two paths ultimately lead? Let's take a look at the final chapter of this story and the two vastly different legacies these men left behind. Years down the road, the final tally of their choices couldn't be clearer. Tunde was still just running in place, forever chasing a sense of security that was always just out of his reach. But Kunle? He had moved way past mere stability and into a life of significance. He was sponsoring missions, helping widows, funding education. He was building a real legacy. And so we end with this final crucial insight. We have this idea that money changes people. It doesn't. Money is just a magnifying glass. It doesn't create your character. It reveals it. All it does is expose that secret money script that was written inside you from the very beginning. So the only question left is, what does yours say?